And good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. Wonderful to see all of you here. My name is Per Werngren, and this is the first of 4 sessions where we're going to talk about how to become a virtual hoster. Today, we're going to talk about why you should become, and in the next 3 sessions, we are going to address the how to make it happen, how to transform your business from classic hosting to virtual hosting. So a few words about me. I've been in the industry for quite some time. My recent major thing was running IDNet in Scandinavia. That was a large hosting company that I sold 4 years ago. I also built an association for Microsoft partners called IAMCP, International Association of Microsoft Channel Partners. If you're not a member, you should become a member. And if you're a member, you will get a slice of $10 billion in revenue that is driven by our members worldwide. So it is good value being a member of the IAMCP. Today, we're going to talk about the business case for virtual hosters. And hosting today, I guess most of you are hosters. You see that you face more and more pressure from Office 365 and other software as a service offerings, like ERP systems in the cloud, like line of business applications. More and more applications are being transformed into a SaaS offering. And it is becoming harder and harder to compete with just the basic vanilla services of hosting that we have all been enjoying for quite some time. Basic virtual machine hosting, well, it is under pressure, still business to do, but it is hard to find nice margins. On the flip side, I believe that most hosters, they have unique insights into customer accounts, they have unique insights into certain verticals, and they have unique insights in how to take care of certain applications. And that is part of the future. If you do it right, you are also a trusted advisor to your customers. So your customers will expect you to point in the direction for where your customers should go in the future. And customers, they are as clever as you. They don't have the knowledge that you have, but of course they understand that traditional hosting is going away, and Microsoft, Amazon, Google, and perhaps IBM are coming up with better and better offerings. So it is probably in their roadmap, in your customer's roadmap, to someday move to a bigger cloud than a cloud that you are providing them. And there is a pain about making too much money, because if you make too much money, well, you are kind of satisfied, and perhaps you don't want to drive change, because if you drive change short term, that will probably hurt your bottom line profits. And classic hosting, well, it is still decent money to be made. Gross margins are high. If you do it right, also your net margins will be pretty amazing. But it is coming down. Gross margins used to be 70%. Now I see that it is more like 40%. And that is also hitting your bottom line profits, of course. I find many hosters that privately say to me that Microsoft wants them to move to Azure. And of course, they start some projects. Perhaps they receive some money to do some pilots, but it is more like lip service. So sometimes Microsoft Field is frustrated because they see that partners are saying yes to Azure, but they are not moving to Azure in reality. Another pain is that when you are doing classic hosting, you are most likely to invest in large chunks in hardware and in expanding or refining your data center facilities. This is a risk. It builds financial risk. It is something on your balance sheet or something in leasing agreements that might hit you if times go bad. So with virtual hosting, I think we should take away a lot of these things. And the vision for tomorrow as a virtual hoster is to become, instead of asset heavy, become asset light. A virtual hoster owns no data centers and probably doesn't own any hardware either. Perhaps a little bit of hardware for communication needs, perhaps for some staging, but it is time to break free from hardware and from operating your own data centers. And the focus for a virtual hoster is managing all of your customer systems and make sure that they run 24/7, 365 days a year. And then you need good procedures, you need decent tools, you need the right people. And if you do that, you will be able to be of purpose, be of use for your customers. And I think that you should focus on what differentiates you and where you can be recognized as a specialist. Find your niche, find perhaps a vertical, or find a type of applications that you build deeper expertise in. So this is the vision for tomorrow as a virtual hoster. And advantages, there are a lot of advantages going to Azure versus being a classic hoster. I believe that you get higher redundancy in data communication, local networks, and if things go bad, it is easier to mirror your workloads that are under your management to another Azure data center, another Azure location. It is super easy. It is also easier to increase capacity in Azure versus sending out hardware to your data centers and waiting for a maintenance window to install it. So you can increase capacity in Azure as you go. Classic hosting, you are investing in chunks, and it takes a while before the wave of expansion is being filled, is being populated with virtual machines for customers. So this is important. Uptime in Azure is better. We can debate that, but I believe that in general, uptime in Azure is better. And with the massive investments that Microsoft are making, uptime will become even better in the future. And together with your skills, you will also be able to take care of uptime for the application layer, not just for the infrastructure layer. And some applications we all know needs to be close to the users. And thanks to the wonderful expansion of Azure, we have data centers across the world. So it is easier with Azure to find a data center that is close to your branch office or the group of users that you are serving than with any other solution, perhaps AWS, but your own classic hosting is probably not even close to that. And cybercrime, unfortunately, cybercrime is rising in popularity. And with Azure, there are things that you don't need to care for yourself, and there are services from Microsoft that you can use that makes it easier to maintain a high level of security and prevent cybercrime. And this is something that is really hard for a classic hoster to be able to invest in himself. So over time, I believe that Azure gives lower cost, and it doesn't tie up capital the way classic hosting does. You are moving from capital expenses to operating expenses. And that's a big thing, because that means that you can use the profits in your company to something nicer than investing in more hardware and more data center capacity. Is that nice? And this is like a very simplified cost comparison, but we can see that in the left box, there are a lot of line items, and this is a helicopter overview, but there are a lot of items as a classic hoster that you don't need when you are a virtual hoster, so life will become easier. Super easy. Rent of premises, well, you don't need data centers. No data center equipment. Physical security goes away, more or less. Electricity. SPLA licenses. It will no longer be your thing to worry about if you are compliant or not, because it is something that you will be in a closer partnership with your customer to take care of. And with the CSP model, it is easier to see if you are compliant or not. Hardware costs, of course, goes away. Data communication costs, well, it doesn't go away. It will be on both sides. Also, as a virtual hoster, you will need to bring great experience to your customers, and therefore you need to invest in data communication costs. But it will probably be more and more the customer that takes responsibility for this. Salaries, it is not going away, but you will not need to employ as many people that you used to employ. And a lot of the people that were maintaining hardware, that were maintaining physical security goes away. And also the ones that were doing Windows or Linux system management, they will not go away, but they can be reduced significantly. Revenue stream. As a classic hoster, you have revenue streams for hosting VMs. Storage capacity has always been a great thing. Hosting a couple of terabytes for a customer has been decent money. Incident management, managing applications, change management, always something that your customers need. Migrations and networking. These are the revenue streams for a classic hoster. As a virtual hoster, it is more like managing resources and meeting SLA. Incident management the same, managing applications the same, change, migrations, and networking. So more or less, it is the same revenue streams, because capacity hosting, as in hosting VMs and storage, it has been lately something that has been under pressure, and it is not here that you will find your decent margins. So the revenue streams that you're keeping are the revenue streams that gives you higher margins. And managing VMs and managing storage is something that is still needed. Your role as a virtual hoster is to manage but not provide capacity, which is nicer, gives you higher margins, and probably makes it easier for you to grow your business too. Something that people often ask me is, who should take care of the Azure subscription? Is it the hoster or the customer? And my take is that if you take larger customers, well, they probably want to pay for the Azure subscription themselves through their enterprise agreements. But smaller and mid-sized, here is where you can provide these services through the CSP program, regardless if you are doing it indirect through a distributor or direct with Microsoft. Providing the services for Azure, the subscription services for Azure through CSP is something that you should offer your customers to take care of, but you should not fight hard for it. Because there is something that is called the PAL, Partner Admin Link. And this will become more and more important in the future. It is not the company that is providing the licenses, or in this case, the Azure subscriptions. It is the people that are doing the management that will be better off. So make sure that you utilize PAL, Partner Admin Link, regardless if the Azure subscription is direct from you or if it is through another partner. And this is something that most partners have kind of missed, and Microsoft might have not communicated well enough that it is managing resources that is far more important than providing the licenses. My personal view on cost is that when the cost for running VMs on Azure is lower than the cost for a host's production in their data centers, then a hoster will start to lose his business. Today, the cost for Microsoft's production is significantly lower than any hostess in the world, and it's only a matter of time before the price to customers is lower than the production cost for a hoster. And what does that mean? It means that sometime, probably pretty soon, it will be less expensive for you as a hoster to buy hosting from Microsoft than produce it yourself. And when that happens, well, then it is really bad times for classic hosters because their business will really go away. So my take is that better to make the change before it hits you and make the change gradually so that you are controlling your own destiny. And Azure is your best friend. If I was not talking to Microsoft partners, I could probably say that AWS or Google could be your best friend. But as a Microsoft partner, there are so many great things by utilizing Azure. And one of the nice things is that you will maintain and probably build an even better relationship with Microsoft. And you will discover new ways where you can partner, because as a classic hoster, you are kind of in competition with Microsoft around where should the systems be hosted, on Azure or in the hoster's own data centers. If you become a virtual hoster, you can have a different conversation with Microsoft, and Microsoft will start to see more opportunities to do business with you. And that is something that I have been very successful with for many years, always being on the Microsoft side on things, because then you can discuss doing business together. So with that, it is time to open up the Q&A. As I said, next sessions will be how to make it happen. This session has been around why you should make it happen. So Andrea, do we have any questions?
So I'm looking at the chat box. No, but I also invite our partners to unmute themselves and ask away questions.
Wonderful. So question to you, partners, is this controversial? Am I on planet Mars?
I see some questions that just popped up.
Wonderful.
So one question is, pricing will go down. Can you elaborate on this? What's the indication for this?
Yeah, the indication for this is that competition. Microsoft, Amazon, and Google, they are competing hard for attracting more and more workloads. And we see every year for the past 3 or 4 years that several times in the year, one of the large cloud providers are reducing their price points on a certain service, and then the other ones will follow. So competition is good for driving down cost. And we know that Microsoft, Amazon, and Google, and perhaps IBM, they are super efficient because they run super large operations. So their abilities to reduce cost in their own production is so much greater than for a classic hoster running a very, very small operation in comparison. And competition between these cloud providers will ensure that costs are going down. But customers are not necessarily going to spend less, because innovation gives us more and more services for customers to utilize. So IT budgets are probably not going down. I would say that IT budgets are probably going up. But the portion that is allocated to infrastructure is probably, or I would say most certainly, going down.
Thank you.
More questions?
Yes. The second question is, which are the workloads that are more suitable for migrations?
I would say any workloads. You need to be a little bit careful and do your due diligence and do proper planning for complex ERP systems with databases that are heavily utilized. And with these complex applications, you probably, if there is no knowledge from the vendor of the application, and you need to do it yourself, then you probably want to do a pilot. But I would say that be a little bit careful for heavily utilized databases and do the proper planning. If you do the proper planning, they will work too.
Thank you. That's it for the moment. But if there are any questions, let's just wait for a bit.
Great. And migrations is something, I will talk about that in coming sessions, but migrations is something, they just need to happen. It is not something that will be a money maker. The money maker is when you build recurring revenue. So migrations is something that you need to do. It is nice if the customer pays for all your work, but if the customer doesn't pay for all your work, then you can enjoy the recurring revenue years to come. And that's where you build your enterprise value. So sometime perhaps you want to sell your business, and then recurring revenue is key for a nice exit.
Mm-hmm. And in addition to the last question would be, in your experience, which might be more propense to migrate first? I suppose with workload.
I would say that websites, less complex websites, something that you can easily migrate. Also file servers, super easy to migrate. Systems that are not depending on other systems, easy to migrate. Systems that are depending on other systems, there you need to do your due diligence and make sure that you really know what you're doing. But start with the easy ones. Start with less complex websites. Start with file servers.
All right. Well, I think this was it for today. These were the questions. Yes.
And also adding to that, intranet. Intranet is also something that is easy, often easy, depending on which technology, but often quite easy to migrate. And when you migrate a modern intranet system, you have some dependencies, but these dependencies are probably not time critical to take care of. So that is something that you can probably, in most cases, easily migrate to. Sorry, Andrea.
No
we are
worries.
out of questions. We are out of time.
We have 2 more minutes, and actually, there's one more question here. Do you recommend hosters to take a multi-public cloud strategy or focus on for operational efficiency?
So I would say that I would strongly recommend that you pick one cloud provider. And if you're a Microsoft partner, and if you want to discover new opportunities to do business together with Microsoft, well, then it is, you really have no choice. Azure is the way to go, and Azure will make it easier for you to grow your business. Of course, AWS, super great. Google, decent. But if you're a Microsoft partner, then it is really Azure. And we also see that Microsoft has been very innovative when it comes to adding new services like Power BI and other things, which can also open up new alleys, new ways for you to provide services to your customers. So the multi-cloud strategy, I would say single cloud strategy, but utilize the nice network of Azure regions and Azure data centers across the world, and make sure that you have the ability to for customers that wants, you have the ability to provide services from a data center that is the closest one to the user group, and also utilize Azure for mirroring. You can easily mirror VMs thanks to Azure. So if a virtual machine has a problem in one data center, then a mirrored VM takes over in another data center. That is important for business critical applications.
Sounds great. Thank you, Per, so much for all the answers and for the great presentation. The first episode, I think, was great, and we will definitely post this recording on demand on the Microsoft Partner Community event page. If there are any questions left, we can respond over there. So thank you everyone for your time, and thank you, Per, again, and talk to you next week.
Thank you, Andrea, and thank you all for attending, and see you next week, 8 a.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. European time.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.